What's up, everybody? Witch here, and today I'm going to have my opinions on where I think the current robos are placed in the tiers in our patch of Tournament Edition 4 for Custom Robo. And without further ado, I'll get started with Metal 8, who I believe is a solid A tier robo. I think all of the Metal Grapplers itself as a class are strong with their hit stun reduction and their pretty straightforward game style, so there's not too much to think about when it comes to playing. Though being slow on the ground, I don't think that really is too big of a factor on where I place them, because mentally, I think defensively to mid-range is very, very, very strong. I don't think it lends itself well to being the best aggressive metal grappler. I think that goes more towards bear. See, and you're not even like that slow. I feel that it feels like you're even faster than a trick flyer when it comes to being on the ground. You have very good jumps, just even with the standard legs. Raven is usually a big contender ground for being the best legs when it comes to the metal grapplers. And you're able to take a whole lot of damage and kind of play a little more ignorant, you know, so more room for error, which I think is always a good plus. And you do 113, which is a very good amount of damage when it comes to having a good anti-air charge. So very good against having the anti-rush down, even if you're doing the long-range game. And then for our next bot, we're going to go over Athena, who is our first sassy stunner. And if you remember from Arena V2, they had very high air mobility and 4 dashes. When it comes to this game, I do think the air movement is very good, but she has a bit of a learning curve, so it kind of tends to ward off usage. I don't think she exactly excels at runaway, and I don't think she wants to play aggressive at all because of how easy it is to kind of knock her down. She's very frail, and what she wants to do, it feels that you have to be in a constant movement to be able to kind of use her more effectively. And her ground movement isn't that bad, but you're not going to be really running. You're pretty much just going to be running in. Can't trade all that well, I think, is the main gripe I have with her. So you do have great movement. You know, if you use ground legs, you're able to just kind of skate around. You just have to kind of do a runaway mid-range at most. You're not going to try to get in there with shotgun. Because if you miss, you're going to just eat a whole lot of damage. And it's not very much worth it. You might as well save it for your other bot that is able to take out that kind of damage. Her charge has a very good range. It does 129. I think, though, very easy to punish, especially on the recovery of it, because you are kind of just a duck sitting there. Again, though, her mobility is very, very strong. That's like her strongest thing. But I don't think right now, I think for most she needs like maybe faster dashes altogether, like a faster startup. But as it stands, she doesn't have very much usage other than like one player. Her mobility is too good to put her into the bottom tiers, so I'll let her have it. Lightning Sky, this patch is very, very strange. It's in a strange place, I should say. Not that they are strange themselves. But yeah, I think Breaker here is our best Lightning Sky, and he is gonna be in the C tier probably. Now they have extremely good running speed this this patch, believe it or not. Last time that they were around, they had pretty slow. They were pretty much vanilla kind of level. But now, Breaker and all of them, they all have fairly good running speed, almost comparable to a Little Raider. But I think they have kind of a little bit of an identity crisis at the moment. There's not so much to them that I feel you're like, why would I pick this character over, say, a Little Raider who has all of the Little Raiders, I think, have superior charges to every Lightning Sky, even Breaker, because Breaker's charges is all right. You know, it's pretty good. 126. That's a pretty good amount of damage, but just in what they do, I'm not totally sure on what I'm supposed to kind of do with them. You know, like why would I ever want to dash? Realistically, the dash I think is very, very punishable. And I think for them to kind of maybe get picked back up more, they need a longer dash. Even if it does still kind of go into the ground like you see here. It needs to be longer. Maybe can't have them go straight because then they get the whole air glide. And that's what made them really, really busted back in 2.0. Yeah, I don't know. I feel they have a very big identity crisis and aren't too sure on what they want to do, what they want to be. And for the Fender, a worse charge overall. Slower on the ground. And the dash, again, still not that great. Probably just leave them in the bottom tier. Very, very cool looking Robo. I can't lie about it. It does have usage out of all of them. I would honestly say Breaker, Defender are the two. Seeker probably has like a one player now, if any. But just because of like Defender, Breaker's charge, it kind of helps them going back into the C tier. So you still have your good running speed, but it feels as if like why would I want to do this over a Little Raider? The charge is a little bit to be desired. 120, not terrible, but a lot of startup, kind of harder to hit, easy to punish, even by going into the air and trying to dash out, you're still able to get hit very easily. And you're frail. That's another thing when it comes to all the Lightning Skies. They're all very frail, take a lot of damage. Their landing, their landing lag needs to be reduced, I think, so they're able to kind of dash out more, maybe. Realistically, I would want to get rid of the downward angle as they're dashing, but that kind of leads to them to be a little problematic, so it is what it is. And the Fender, I think, will just have to stay in the bottom tier until further testing and stuff is done. But this next bot, on the other hand, very strong, very good, kind of always has been since patching, and that would be Chicken, who I honestly think is a very strong S tier Robo. Because you have the amazing stealth dash that all the Robos love. You have a very strong charge, even can anti-air, and gives you, and it's even used as a movement option itself, which I think any of the higher tier Robos would want to have, and that's what leads it to being up here for Chicken. you also have a bit of bulk to you. You're not like a wild soldier or a metal grappler, but you're stronger than you think. And with Chicken, I think really is the jack of all trades and kind of the master of some, as compared to the shiny fighters. And you do 113 on your charge, which isn't like the super high amount comparative to being a more aggressive charge. As I said, it was super good. It was a good amount of damage for being a defensive charge with 8, but as a more aggressive charge, it's all right. But like I was saying all before, though, great movement option. Kind of just skate off edges all you like, and with the stealth dash, you just you missed. No worries. You can kind of take less shots than you would have. It combo extender with it. You're just able to do fat damage all the time. And with the stealth dashes, they just sometimes can't hit you. The landing is probably your best spot of doing it, and the running speed isn't so good. But that's okay, because you have this amazing jump that leads you into the sky. If you use feather, you're just never coming down. You're just gonna be floating, really, really flying, as they say. But yeah, the Chicken, a lot of usage. Maybe not so much now as it did in the previous patches, but more players coming back. I think Chicken is going to be always consistent. It always places high up in matches and tournaments. I think it has very good results. Chicken's always been a strong contender for a higher up top tier Robo in most of the discussions that we've had. This next spot, when it comes to any of the funky big heads, I want to say, just because of how good mobility, their air mobility, and how defensive they are, none of them can really be bad. Maybe not as used amongst like the 3, but not bad at all. And with Dower, Dower being the bulkiest, hardest to take down, but having kind of like a weaker charge. It's kind of harder to land. Not the and probably I don't believe it to be the most damaging, if I remember correctly. And in my opinion, none of the funky big heads are played super aggressively. But you're able to tank a lot, so you can play with weapons that can lead themselves being more aggressive, like Bubble, an example. But Dower's Head's charge probably leads it to being the lowest of the 3 funky big heads, in my opinion. Just because it's harder to land, even as an anti-air charge. It's just like, it's just not all that good. And then you have like a lot of recovery coming back down. And you don't have your running speed is not the thing you're worried about anyway. You just look at this movement that you got, You're just able to move from quarter to quarter on practice stage here. Just a 1 hop. And then you have your 1 boost. Pod gliding is like your best friend. It's how you move around the most without being so linear, which I think is a strength for all of the air mobility based classes, but with funky big head specifically, because they only got the 1 boost, and once your opponent realizes and sees it, they are able to punish accordingly very, very easily. See if I can land this charge. 123. See, that's okay. And I mean, as an anti-air charge, that's really good damage. But you're only active for so long, and then it's so easy to punish. And then once you're back on the ground, you have to kind of get back into the air, right? That's where you always want to be at. Just that charge is what really holds back Dower. Even having the most bulk out of all of them, just that charge is very. It's like a, basically you're having one less button in my opinion compared to the other robos. And then we'll go next here with Criminal. Again, I think all with the Trick Flyers as a whole class, you can't really go wrong. A little getting used to when it comes to like their movement in the air, but and I don't think that's that hard, not in my full opinion. Criminal though has a very good charge, very good straightforward. Just isn't as used popularly as compared to like Buggy, but with its movement, I think is very good. Maybe, I'm actually gonna put this in the A tier. I just think its charge really helps push it over, like compared to like Juggler, who has a more awkward charge. But I'll go ahead and show you more on Criminal here. You just have some of the best movement when it comes to any of these. You're tall, so that's a little bit of a downer, being able to get hit kind of by stray bullets that fly over the wall like Needle or even Basic Gun there. But your movement is just so good in the air. And you can, another master of being aggressive or being defensive, run away depending on how you feel. And Booster is always like your best friend if you're going aggressive. You're almost like a blink. It used to be even worse in the previous patches, but now it is a little more manageable, but still very hard to deal with. And with Criminal, the charge, like I was saying, was a very big helpful thing because it's also a little bit of a movement option. It helps parry against shots, and then you're able to just kind of get out, move around, and punish them for trying to do another panic shot when it comes to doing that. And then edge guiding is always easy, just being able to edge cancel. And 158, that's... No, wait, it wasn't 158. Okay, wait, 123, I was gonna say, that's crazy. Yeah, 123, very good. Like, it's good. It's not, like, super good, but it's very good. Gets you away. Yeah, no, Criminal, very good, very solid A tier robo. I have no doubt, no problem with that. And then for our next one, so Aerial Beauties, I think they have the best air mobility in the game. Arguably, I would say they're probably the best aerial movement class. Hits the name, right? And for Earth, I'm gonna say C tier, just because her movement is still strong, a little bulkier, but her charge has like almost no tracking. It's a solid anti-air charge. It helps her stay even in the air, but just because of like they are frail. Even with her being the bulkier Aerial Beauty, they're still frail, right? They still don't like being hit. And your ground speed though, very honestly not bad. Once it starts getting to go. You have comparable to like OG, a Shiny Fighter run speed, I think. Comparable to it. And of course, your hops, always amazing. You just threaten all day. Aerial Beauty as a class, all strong. But it's just this charge is just not super good. Even like up close on the ground, it's a little harder to hit. Let's see if I can actually get near them. Yeah, 113. anti-air charge is like okay. You know, it's pretty good damage for an anti-air. Just the tracking on it is so easy to dodge. And and it can be used as a movement option, you know, like to help you get back into the air. But I think it's just it's punishable. Because you can't act out immediately. See how long it takes to be able to do that, and your invul's gone before the charge is done. If you had like maybe more invul to the end of the charge, you know, make it more parryable, like have a parryable idea. See, it's just so easy to punish. But her movement's good. She's very good movement, so that's what keeps her from being the lowest. But I think out of her class, yeah, she's gonna be on the bottom of it. And then for our next one, another class, of the first one of its class, it's gonna be Shining or Strike Vanisher. And for Glaive here, I think Stealth Dashes are honestly just too good. Like, even if the charge itself isn't the best, it's just being able to disappear and reappear anywhere makes it too strong. And with Glaive, their defenses are very strong, very bulky, but the charge is a bit lacking. It's more of a defensive charge. You're using it more, kind of getting into the air, getting away from the butts itself. And so, in just a sec out here, I'll show you some Glaive play. There we go. And now, yeah, like, fairly good defensively. Very good runaway. I think Strike Vanisher probably does runaway some of the best. Like, you can just, all day, not get hit. Your landing is the point of weakness, but you're gonna be using legs like ground and short thrust, quick jump. So landing leg is not too much of an issue for you, really. You're just gonna be all over the place, and that's the charge. You know, you're again able to get into the air if you're being a runaway class. 104, almost like that's really not that much damage at all. It's like not that great, but again, defensively, it's a very good parryable. Its invul is very long. Not the easiest to punish, I think, just because you have that sweet stealth dash. You're a little taller, I guess, so you're able to kind of get hit from behind walls and stuff. But your stealth dashes are just too good. Even with just Glaive specifically, you're better off doing defensive play. And then what I think separates the other two for me is that just how much other damage they can put out. Sure, you can never get hit, but timeouts are, you know, not something you totally are aiming for. Usually, most players aren't aiming for that. It does happen quite a bit, but I don't think it's the thing most players aim for. So Glaive he's a slower paced robo, so I think that leads it to being its less usage. Very cool though, very cool robo, I think. And then for our next one, my opinion, I believe to be the best Shining fighter, honestly. Glory just has a lot going for him out of the Shining fighters. A tier, B tier, because the Shining fighters themselves aren't, as a class, the strongest because of how middle level they are. You can play them defensively, you can play them aggressively, but just like a little more work to it comparative to other robos that can do it, like defensively, runaway style, you know, strike vanisher. You just have the ground speed over them. Glory, I'm gonna say, is a good A tier. I'll say Glory is a good A tier robo. The charge is super good on reaction, has great tracking, knocks him straight into the air. And most robos, once they're knocked into it, they don't kind of like being up there. So then you're able to kind of pinpoint and punish accordingly onto where they're going to be at. But you do have very good ground movement. Just, I mean, what you would be using swallow legs, more than likely formula, not stabilizer maybe, but they're pretty restricted on the kind of legs they like to use, which I think kind of hinders their gameplay a bit because they're kind of a little one note to their movement. But I'll show off Glory here to kind of give you some perspective. See, you know, your movement, not that bad. You're going to be using swallow legs or formula, so you'll be much faster comparative to a little raider. But this is what separates Glory. That 142 uppercut. It's so good on any build that's going at you aggressively. You're just able to move out, and then not so much as a movement option, but as a way of escaping after a charge. You hit them, they're going to tag burst, you're able to kind of get out and move away. I think Glory really does excel at that. Not the bulkiest, but that's okay. You got one of the stronger charges out of the group. And just, again, the sweet Shoryuken DP punch. Everybody loves it. Everyone loves Glory. I think Glory probably has maybe the highest usage now out of all of the shiny fighters, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely, I think gets the most use out of them. Just placing it in A tier, I don't think is wrong. You know, I don't think anybody would super argue on that. As for our next robo, we're going back into the Strike Vanisher territory. Looks like we'll just take care of the two. I'll move you down, actually. There you go. Talk about you later. We'll go into Halberd here. Who has to be the best Strike Vanisher? No doubt. I don't believe S tier robo though. It is a very good, very strong robo. You know, yeah, honestly, I don't feel that's honestly crazy just because of what Halberd is able to do aggressively with Splash and Needle and Flamethrower, Hornet. It just has all of these aggressive options. It can be used defensively and has its charge help it be aggressive if, like, you know, if it placed correctly. I just think aggressively though, Halberd is where it shines. Like Clive being the defensive, Halberd being aggressive, I think is the best. Because once Halberd has you going through it like aggressively, you're trying so hard to punish its aftershots. So like when say they're zipping all around you, they hit you. You know, you can't ignore the stealth dashes, always a top tier movement. $126, that's not bad on an aggressive charge. and you get 3 charges on just a punish. So say they tag birth and they're not able to tag out, you're gonna get, and you land a charge, you get 3. Like, that's just what you're gonna do, and then you're able to just get on out because you'll be using ground, short thrust. Once you just get them into like that blender, it's so hard to get out. Even top players get blended by them a lot. Like it happens all the time. So being honestly the top one of a top tier robo, I don't think is that crazy out of the question. And then we'll get to our next robo here, who is a kind of a personal fave of mine, a juggler. Again, super solid movement. Trick flyers just can't be ignored for how great their movement is. Juggler's charge, though, is what's so unique on him. You know, and that's why I placed it a little lower, because its charge is like an anti-air charge in a way. It's just awkward. It's a very awkward to hit charge, and it's pretty punishable in my opinion on landing. So you already know about like movement. Like I said, is extremely good. Ground speed is not super great, but that's okay. You're gonna be in the air most of the time anyway. 126 is like, it's not a bad number, but it's just kind of hard to hit this. Maybe if it drug out a tiny bit forward as he was spinning, like at the end of the animation, I don't think it's very good parryable, because you can just kind of punish it. You miss your shot, you're like, oh, okay, I'll just hit him with the bomb or something. And the other thing about the trick flyers is that I think they're all kind of easy to take down once you do hit them. They knock down fairly easy. But their movement is what helps them just kind of get away from all of it. Especially weapons that have terrible vertical tracking. That's like, they love that. They love fighting guns like that. But yeah, Juggler's charge is just, it's awkward. Maybe if it did more damage, I'd place it up higher, but its charge is just so awkward. Super cool, just awkward. And then for our next robo we're going over will be Milky Way. Another aerial beauty, I think very strong. It's one of the best parryable charges. I think its charges super quick, very good at parrying. Aerial beauties, you just can't ignore them and how well their movement is. It's just you know, it is kind of now more of an up debate maybe, just because of Soul's nerf that she had received, but I'll go over her in a little bit. Wrong button. Okay, there we go. And so, yeah, you can't ignore your movement with Aerial Beauty. You're just so good at moving. Milky Way definitely gets high representation out of the classes. I think we've only had like maybe one or so player really play Earth at all. Soul and Milky Way are the ones that play. But this charge is just so fast. Like, you're able to land 3 before a get up, before it's say if they're not mashing, or if they haven't, or they're not able to tag. So it's a great chase option. And plus, if they try to shoot over a wall, like so, oh, not like that, but like that, you know, you're just able to like fly right on over, hit them up on a platform, and it even leaves you a little bit in the air, so you're able to kind of dash away, or jump away, I should say, not dash. leads itself to landing you in great placements on ledges and stuff, so you're able to just hop more, get more of a ledge options, I think. So Milky Way, very good, very strong bot in my full honest opinion. I don't think you would have a problem maybe even putting her in A tier now, really, because it's man, I don't know. A tier honestly doesn't sound that crazy to me. Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna put her in A tier. And I think Soul is probably gonna be in A tier as well. But let's go on to our next one, who will be Ox. Ox. The fan favorite, the people's champ. You know, the content, as we would say. Ox, like I was saying before, all of the metal grapplers, in my opinion, kind of lead themselves in a very cool spot. Like Ape, very good defensively. Bear, I say, is good aggressively. Ox still has the uniqueness of being a very knowledge check robo. If you just don't know how to kind of deal with them, you're gonna feel dumb. You know, the charge and even his ground speed is really good for being metal grappler. You throw some formula legs on Ox here, and you're gonna be thoroughly surprised. In fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you a little bit what it looks like when it has formula on. But the charge, very high damaging. It's just its charge is so punishable, and it's fairly slow startup. But it's super fucking hype when you're able to land it. I can't lie. It is ultra hype. But just look how fast you are, really, when it comes to having formula legs. Your dash as a standard MG isn't like the best. It's not the fastest. It has pretty good length, I think, but you finally are now able to slide shot, you know, with Ox. That's, you know, Ox just has a lot of quirks to him that I think is very unique, and isn't suffering with like kind of stuck with using Raven legs or booster. You know, you're able to kind of actually slide shot. Flame is oddly good with Ox. I just think because of its quirkiness, Ox is able to just push itself kind of further above. In its knowledge check, oh, it's 161. I thought it was 180. But yeah, 161, super high damaging charge. And it just lasts forever, has amazing tracking. Just very punishable, you know? Just a very punishable one if you're just like, oh, I'll just hold back. You know, as you're seeing it charge at you, you just run backwards a little bit, and then you can charge back and punish accordingly, depending on how you feel. But Ox, I just think it's just unique in the way it's able to play. It's mix up. It's odd. It's a very, very odd guy. Its representation a little higher than you would expect. There are dedicated players who have not dropped him, who will not drop him, and you know, we thank you for that. Honestly, we thank you for that. Our next bot comes in Peregrine, one of the best to ever do it. Peregrine, the fastest robo around. I think Little Raider as a full class this time, they've all have grown in popularity. They get buffs and buffs and buffs, but they are just so popular. And Peregrine being one of the most popular for sure. Has a very good straightforward charge, very fast, very able to clash with other charges, and even as a good escape tool. Not as good as, say, Shrike even, but it's ground speed, very comparable, very you can feel how much faster it is compared to the other little raiders. You can be aggressive if you're, if you're careful and don't get hit too often. See, like, look how fast look how fast it goes. It's just such a fast charge, and it has a great length. 112, not the most damage, but that's okay. You're gonna just be little pouncing away at them. You again, slide shot master, runaway master. I think little raiders just have so much to offer any new player when it comes to getting in, and I think they have honestly consistently topped every tournament in like the past year. I could be wrong about that, but I feel more than positive that they have. They're just too good when it comes to, and too good on how popular, I guess I should say. They are very popular. A lot of us use them. I use them. They're just extremely popular. Peregrine, being the second most popular out of the three. Just, you can't ignore how much you're able to move, how well your slide shots are, how long your charge is, and it's so fast. You can't ignore it. Honestly, it's so fast. So I think Peregrine is fine in an A tier. I don't think that's honestly a bad thing to say. As for our next Robo here, Wild Soldiers, I'm gonna say they're, I think, honestly, kind of an S tier Robo just because of what they're able to do. They're extremely bulky. I think this current patch they have been reduced in speed a little bit, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look back on the notes, but I just think that how they're able to both, again, master both aggressive and runaway play, that it's too much to ignore, and their movement is just really, really strong. And they're able to take a whole flame. So trading, they can trade, they're fast, their ground speed isn't even like that bad either, if you were to use like stabilizer or anything like that. They're bulky, they're really fast, great movement. It's just too much to put it in a lower tier, in my opinion. I guess you could maybe argue putting it in A just because of its representation, but I think this patch representation for our Wild Soldier friends here will probably go up. They're just too much to deal with. Very strong. And Rock Henson, his charge it goes further than you ever think it does. It always hits. You never think it's gonna hit, but it does. And even the tracking for it isn't even that good, but it still hits you when every time you don't think it will. It will. Kind of give you a little bit of a show off for it. Standard legs, nothing to look at, but just look how fast you're able to really move, and the angles and placements that you're able to go with, even the height of your jump. It's super strong. See, you're at 126, a good average charge, but still, it's always hitting. It goes forever, and if you're up close enough to the wall, you're even able to go over. You won't go over as much as you think you should, but it's really fast. It's startup. You get near invul on startup, unless you're like super quick with the trigger, I just think its speed is so good, bulk too good to be really a lower tier Robo, in my opinion. And then for our next bot, good old Ray, the true jack of all trades. Did get buffed in its charge. Its ground speed is still strong. Do I put it because of its charge though? Is it more than Glory? I'm gonna say no. Reason being that Glory's charge just has more utility, and Glory is just a bit faster on the ground. Ray's, though his damage does go much higher than expected, I just think Ray is, again, a little one note in movement, but that goes kind of for all of the Shining Fighters. But Glory has the cool option of the uppercut and being kind of in the air, so you kind of have that going for you. And then Ray's charge also isn't the best parrying charge, in my opinion. So you have a good, see, 142. That's honestly very high damaging. It's just that and even fast. The charge itself is even fast. Just kind of a one note charged. It's not used too much as a movement option. You can't like and then dash out. You know, you're like stuck recovering and then jump lag. Then you're able to dash. This thing Ray is as B tier as it really gets. It doesn't have anything super exciting going for him, but you know, it's not bad. It's just not bad. Its charge is super good, straightforward. I mean, it has a good charge, strong charge, I should say, super strong charge. Just, there's not a whole lot going on for him. Yeah, so I accidentally didn't show him off, but yeah, just not a whole lot going for him. See, like I was saying, short. The dash isn't terrible. Tracking's like okay. Very damaging. Just kind of a lot of in lag. Most of what I'm showing off. The movement for Ray though is standard, just as B tier as it gets, really, in my full opinion. And then for our next friend here, Ruhail. Ruhail's charge to me is really bad. It like never hits, and isn't. It can be kind of a movement option, but it's really long, so the punishing for it is easy. But it does have a stealth dash. You know, that is saying something. You can't really ignore a stealth dash. It's just, is it enough? Is it enough to really? And 0 reps. Like, no one, not even for like pools, people play as Ruhail. None of the newer players play as Ruhail. I just think the stealth dash alone keeps it from being a bottom tier Robo. But its charge, you're like never using it. It never is gonna probably crush your mind. And so just to kind of show off more, it's a little more defensive, sure, but you know. So you get like in the air option like chicken, just not as good, and even being next to them, it's like hard to hit. So unless they're like really in the air, and see 104 damage, that's really not good. It definitely needs a damage buff. It just needs a whole lot of. This feel like it's an incomplete kind of robot almost, like an incomplete burning beast. Personally, you just get punished. I don't know. It's Ruhail just does not have a lot going for you. You just should always just pick chicken over Ruhail unless you're just that big of a Ruhail fan. And then one of our mascots per se, really. Seal, not a whole lot of usage rep wise. I think most of the rep wise goes to Tank Head, in all honesty, but still, its charge not bad. Has a pretty good hitbox, big head. Movement is very strong. I still feel though, I think now, kind of looking back over it, Seal might go down. I'll leave, put Dower in C, C's in B. Yeah, Seal's in B. That makes more sense. Again, very bulky. You can't get past them. Their movement still strong. Just I think for Seal's charge, it's more universal. That's what helps it kind of go over. Dower Head plus Dower Head's like anti-air charge. It's just harder to land. A lot of punishment to it. But Seal Head, you get around very easily. One of the cutest bots for sure. Can't ignore facts. It's just the way it is. It's 123, not bad. That's fairly standard, but you have good tracking, and it goes very far. Honestly, can double tap them if they haven't tagged yet. Defensive, I think still has usage. You see tournament play with Seal in it, so I don't think putting it in B is a problem at all. And then Seeker here. Oh, yeah, she's gonna be down there. Just the Lightning Skies, they're just so hard to use. I think they're awkward. Again, the ground speed, the run speed is not bad. Seekers is a bit slower, but see, like you're moving. Your dash is pretty abysmal, really high startup, pretty good tracking, but really bad startup. Yeah, you're just, see what I'm saying? Like, it's just so much movement. You're frail. Kind of the same points I was making for when it came to Defender and Breaker. Except with Breaker, you have a pretty decent charge. Defender has a pretty abysmal charge, and then like you have a high damaging charge, right? 152, that's a lot. If you can get them, if you can manage to land it on them, they're gonna be taken aback. It's hard to land. It's slow, kind of a movement option, but because you go downward as you dash, the movement option isn't too there. And the Lightning Skies, I think, are a bit one note when it comes to their play defensively or aggressively, because they either aggressively can only come at you like a drive-by, or defensively, and even in defensively it's even like a drive-by, but they're still just kind of running and landing, and their landing lag is just so easy to punish. So I think that until they maybe don't go downward as they dash, or maybe get faster charges, they're just, the Defender and Seeker are just gonna have to be in the bottom. And then for our buddy here, Javelin, who does see a good amount of usage, I think is a good front runner for being honestly an A tier bot, just because of how much damage it can shit out, honestly. Its charge, yes, doesn't have any iframes. This is true. But I don't think that necessarily matters with the chase power and the amount of damage you are able to do to a bot. Even like a Metal Grappler or a Funky Big Head. Just because if they haven't tagged out, I believe you're able to land like 6 charges. Something crazy. I will say though, Javelin may be one of the uglier bots, but well, that's alright. Just see look how much it's able to do. And that's just off of one charge, right? So you're 126 one charge, though you do take reduced damage as you're downed, and there's his javelin's weakness being yeah, see, 6 charges you're able to do 300 damage, and then just the chaseability, like I was saying, they're gonna try to get away from you, and then you're just back at them. You know, you're just right back at it. I think when it comes to the 3 strike vanishers, Javelin's probably going to be your most aggressive one for sure. You're just able to do so much damage. It's so hard to ignore. Stealth dash is super good. You can do a little bit of runaway neutral play when it comes to the stealth dashes and stuff. It's just so hard to ignore all that damage you can do. It really is. Now, current patch, like I was saying, I'm going off of quite a few things, usage and placements, other stuff. Shrike here, honestly, as a little raider and how popular all of them are. I'm going to say, honestly, an S tier Robo, because it's used by a lot of players. Its charge, one of the best. His movement is a little slow for being a little raider. That's fast. Ground option moves around, still fast ground movement, just slower for a little raider. But you can use formula or swallow to kind of mitigate that. Just its charge, so parryable, so good. It's and how it's where its range, how much it can do, how much you're able to hit it. And it's just, yeah, no, it's too much, realistically, to ignore and not put into the S tiers, in my opinion, just because, yeah. So we'll go to Shrike here, and just kind of show off more of what I'm saying. See, like, you're not as fast as Peregrine, probably not as fast as Swift, but, you know, you're still a little fast. 108, not the strongest amount of damage when it comes to his charge, but that's really okay, because you can just spam it constantly. Push him away, keep it going. Label to land 3 on down if they've tagged. Yep, Shrike's just too good to ignore, and how much it's used at that. It's out of the Little Raiders, it is the most used, though I think Swift now is starting to get up there and being the most used Little Raider. And we'll go on to our next bot, Soul. Soul. Let's see. I think Soul right now, only about one player now I think uses it. But no, that's not true. I take that back. I just don't know if Aerial Beauty, though, as a full class, can make it into S tier right now, because a lot of things have been given more down tracking and kind of overall damage, which the Aerial Beauties themselves do not like. It's just kind of hard to say if it's in an S tier, because it's Soul's charge, one of the best parryable charges excuse me, that there is. It's able to reflect and punish so easily to any rush down, and Aerial Beauty just being one of the better keep away kind of mid-range bots classes. It is hard to say. So A to S is, I can see an argument for S tier, but me personally, I just feel Aerial Beauty right now is just the kind of an A tier class, realistically.
I just don't feel they have the power that the rest do to be as nuts, especially with Soul's nerf. Pre-nerf Soul, I for sure would say S tier, but now, I don't know. Just because of how much it's used, even like last tournament, I don't think Soul was even used, like maybe once or so. Yeah, I'm gonna leave Soul in A. It's arguable to go into S tier. Its charge though, still strong. It's what kind of keeps it up. I just feel Milky Way is unexplored and just as good, really. Like its charge is insane. But for Soul here, I think you still have your good ground movement, great air movement, of course. So you can just in and out constantly. In, out, in. Yeah. And then just kind of show off more of that charge. You're also able to just kind of go over walls, 113. I think its damage was reduced. That might have been another nerf towards Soul, but still a good reversal. Sends them far away, keeps them away from you, so if they do get up on you, you're just able to retaliate quickly. I guess one goof thing about Soul is that if you're up too close, you'll just miss, and no one likes that. Soul's charge also quite hard to punish, I think. Yeah, Soul's charge fairly hard to punish, and I think that she just, again, arguable for S tier. So I'll actually even put her up here to kind of put her like as an in between. And then Splendor here, our friend, has a bit more usage now, I think, but still just not that solid. Doesn't have a whole lot going for it that you wouldn't just pick over Ray or Glory, I think. In fact, it might even yeah, I might just even put him down in the bottom just because these bots have things to them that others, like the movement options, the bulk is too much to ignore. But for Splendor, it just doesn't have like anything. Even his charge isn't like anything to write home about. It's like a little fast, but it like doesn't have the best tracking, I think, and it's not much of a combo piece. It's more of a reaction. 142, actually, I saw I was wrong. 142 is a lot of damage, honestly. Just I don't know. I feel that there's no true reason to pick a Splendor over Glory or Ray. Yeah, maybe some more invul on its startup, on its charge. Because it's fast. It has a fairly fast charge. It's just easy to punish, though. No usage, really. The usage that it has had in tournaments, it was usually lower placed. So I just don't think Splendor really has, right now, a spot, an identity out of the bots for it to be in a higher tier. Now Swift, definitely gaining popularity, moving up. I think it's it's just that its charge is like a little bit to be desired. Fairly good at anti-rush down. Just you're able to get punished out of it so easily, and it leaves you a little bit in the air, which a lot of raiders usually don't want to do. They don't want to be in the air. Can't parry it very well. Though you do parry, you just get punished very, very easily, realistically. I think its charge does a good amount of damage, but it has pretty good tracking, 110. Okay, so that's not that great. Again, your movement option, your movement on the ground, insane. You're a bit see how much faster you are than Strike. It's just that your charge leaves you a little bit vulnerable after the initial. It's a far charge though. You have a pretty good length distance with it. I just believe that it's just not as good as compared to the other bots. Its anti-rushdown charge is not bad, but Strike just does it better, really. And parry is just faster, so it does what Swift would want to do, but better, in my opinion. Tank Head, now I believe, is very. It has one of the best charges. Though the most frail of the three, I think of the most frail of the three, the most usage, the highest placings, I think, in most recent tourneys. Very big charge, large. can't get away from it. It's really fast. Also, weakness of it though is that it doesn't like kind of push them away, keep them away from you. So you kind of have to deal with it and kind of hop out really quick. So yeah, you get your, you have your great movement in the air like you always do. But you're able to just kind of go over walls. You're able to, it's just a big hitbox, really good tracking. Like 142, can't ignore it. That's Ray. That is Splendor. It's just very a large amount of damage. Also, just because of how big that hitbox is, how big your ass is, you're almost always gonna hit him with it. It's so fast. Plus, you can also just, they tag out, you can just do it again. And you might not hit them, but you're at least, you can parry away from it. Just because it has a lot of invul to it. I think Tank Head deserves to be in the higher spot. Comparative to Seal and Dower especially. Next on our list, I think, this might be just the front runners, but we got Buggy, who consistently tops, always is up there. They're one of the most used robos, one of the best charges, anti-air wise, just and how long it lasts, it's invul. It's punishable, sure, but it's just your movement's so strong and how much damage you're able to do, how fast you are in the air with booster. Nuts. Where are you at, Buggy? There you are. So yeah, I'll kind of show off more of what Buggy, and you're also able to just kind of go behind walls with your charge. So you have a lot of, if they're using any high end lag guns and you hit with Buggy and you miss with Buggy's charge, you have a really good parryable one. So say they use Hornet, you're able to just dodge it really easily. But 142, very high damaging. Your movement's just too strong. And even as you're coming down, say you miss and they're trying to punish back, and they get too close, you're able to just hit them and send them right back into the air, even from the receiving part of the charge. And see, that's what I'm saying, like, Dower Head needs. Even on your decent back down, you should still be able to have, like, a hitbox. I think that Dower Head would go up higher if it was able to do that, like this. Or any of the bots, really, that kind of do a similar thing towards Buggy, having like a recovery coming back down. You can still hit, but still, just super high usage though. I don't feel Buggy would be contested to not be one of the top tiers. And then we got Bear. Definitely the most used metal grappler. Insanely high damaging charge. The bulkiest. You can really do whatever you want with Bear. You only have one dash, and you're slow on the ground movement wise, but that doesn't really matter once you start like getting into the legs of what you want. And just because of how bulky you are, I'm going to show off a little bit on what I'm talking about when it comes to ground legs. And he did get a little nerfed. I don't believe he's as fast as he used to be. But it is definitely... You can't ignore Bear's usage. It places, it tops constantly. A lot of players use it. But like, just with the ground legs, see how much faster now you can move. You're even able to dodge a punishing sniper. 171, which is an insane amount of damage. And I think it used to do like 180, 200. It sends you across the whole map if there's no walls in your way. Even on the ground, it does a lot of damage. So yeah, 171 is 222. You're doing like almost a fourth of their health just by doing that. The bulk's too hard to ignore. You can trade with literally anything. They hit you with a flamethrower, shoot, bomb, whatever. You're gonna hit them. It's really, Bear's just it's too good. Representation's super high. You can't ignore them. Now on the list, it does not show this bot, but we do have one more to kind of look at, who I would honestly put in either A to S tier based off of how my feelings of the character so far, and that's gonna be Ray Warrior, our newest Wild Soldier. Wild Soldier, I said before, very bulky, very fast movement. Ray though has a unique charge, not so much as it's damaging, though it's utility. And your ground movement is faster than a Rakuten, but you're just able to go right behind the wall. Defensively, you have the whole defense. There's nothing they can do to hit you if you're going to be using like this wall tech. See how fast you're just able to move. Oh, I forgot. I'm also using... See, this is with ground legs. So you're just kind of... You're just skating around. You're just... And you're just invulnerable that whole time, just like how I was showing. So you're out of wall, invul, block wall. They're not gonna hit you, and you're able to just do what you like. So runaway aggressiveness it's so easy to do it as with these guys, in my opinion. So I definitely say A tier. 142 again. If they're on you, you're able to hit them. You're gonna hurt them. A little harder to hit for sure. But again, hitting isn't your main objective with the charge. I'd say A to S tier, no doubt. No doubt in my mind. But yeah, that is my tier list. I am so glad you were here today to watch it. Tune in next time when I make another tier list, and I'll see you next time.